Right at it. Right at it. Oh, he's done it again. Just as he did at the John Deere for his first win.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 152 of the Go Get That podcast. I believe we unfortunately missed an episode due to us all being busy men, but regardless, we're here to talk. Not sure there's a crazy amount to talk about the RBC Heritage. There was some good, there was some bad. And that's kind of how it's been this year. But overall, he's placing pretty well consistently, which is nice. I'll start off with that. I'm not reading into the placings too much. What did he finish at RBC? Like T15? What?
T18? T18, yes.
Yeah. I mean, if that's... Jordan talks about this a lot. He's kind of been doing that recently. He finished, I think a good amount of the signature events / the Masters he's finished top 20 at, while not being completely there with his game. I think that's completely fine. I think that's it's good because last year he wasn't playing well and he was missing every cut and T60ing in the events that didn't have a cut. So he's playing good golf while still not being completely there yet since he's gotten back from injury. I'm not reading too far into the placements. I think my take from before the RBC is similar to where it is now. He's close to being close to winning. He's not close to winning yet. Again, I said this on my Twitter page. That is unfortunately a T30, T35 in a full field event. But regardless, he's playing good players. He's playing in good fields. He's beating a lot of really good players. So it's something to build off of, and that's kind of where it's been. We're getting close to the halfway point in the season. We get past the PGA, and we're just about there. And I'd like to know your thoughts in terms of the thirds, because when we were talking about the first third of the season, we talked about how that really needed to be the worst third of the season. Since that second third has begun, I do think it's better. We haven't gotten to contention like we did in Phoenix and semi at Honda, but I do think that the play looks a little bit better. It's just not very complete. So far in terms of improving on the thirds, I think the second third's been better, and that's good to see. But there's still a lot of work to be done before the PGA. But I think like the first fourth of the season was all about getting to the Masters. Right now, it's all about the Open for me. It's about getting this season ready to go for the Open. I'm not going to sit here and act like there's a very good chance he's going to win the PGA or the U.S. Open. I think he could contend at Quail. I think Oakmont would take a miracle. I think Quail is a course he could contend at because I think he's played well there on times. It's a course that could eat him up if he doesn't play well, but that's kind of my spiel. I'd like to know what you guys' thoughts are in terms of the overreaching outlook and what you guys think so far as since that second third has started compared to the first one.
Well, you're hoping to peak for the Open and Portrush. This is the biggest week of the year. We are at Craig Ranch, the biggest golf tournament of the year outside of the Masters.
I mean, Dan, unfortunately, he just didn't peak for this major, though.
Well, that's what last week was for. I was trying to figure it all out because
Fair enough.
Ranches, obviously, we'll get into this just a little bit, but daunting test. They lengthened it this year, so a brute of a golf course has become even stronger. It's playing soft again, unfortunately, due to the placement in the schedule and the weather. But that means it's going to play, to its full length here. It's going to require some proper golf shots along the way. But kind of to your point, I think the last 3 weeks of play, this will be the start of a 5 week stretch, which we'll see how everything holds up. Um, but the last time we chatted, it was a 3 week stretch and three top 20s. And I think you kind of look at that and say that's adequate. It feels a lot better than T45ing, a miscut, and some of the results that were being placed last year. It's now five top 20s on the season, which is, I think, also adequate and fine. Like he's trending. I'm not sure what his overall rolling average is over the last little bit, but he's playing like a top 25, 30-ish guy in the world. Um, and you can't really be too mad about that. I think there's nothing to be super frustrated with other than he just hasn't put all four of the key categories together for more than a few rounds. Even at the RBC, it was a couple of good days with approach that ultimately kind of buoyed the number to pretty respectable. But it's it's interesting. A lot of people are on him this week, which I think is fascinating because there's some flashes, but I think that kind of speaks to the field as well because it's a very weak field because Ranch, as we know, scares away the best in the business. So we'll see how it stacks up. I think Jordan and I have talked quite a bit, so I'll leave this before we get over to him here. But it's time to. This feels like a week that a proper uh, uh, kind of result and contention and putting a good chunk of it together feels like it's a good week to get on that, hop back on that train, so to speak.
Well said. I go back to Bob's kind of opening spiel um, about the thirds of the season. The funny thing is, I mean, this freaking stretch coming up is basically nearly a third. It's 5 events. I mean, I think a third is what, seven, eight, maybe?
I feel like my last third kind of starts after the PGA.
Yeah. So
So
we're
I'm
like,
I'm so it's really 3 events here to finish off this third.
yeah. So five in a row is a lot. Yeah, you kind of mentioned it, Dan. We're getting a tough test of a golf course this week.
Brutal.
I mean, we halfway joke, but they did lengthen it. It's, I think, 150 yards longer now. And
R 71.
one of the par fives got completely beefed up. So I mean, that's gonna change
It is
scoring
now.
probably a little bit. Pulling it up here, but yeah, the rough is up, so they did that. You got upped rough. You got some lengthening. It'd be interesting to see what the scoring is. I think you kind of mentioned it, Dan. It's probably gonna be soft again, which kind of stinks. But yeah, I'm hoping it is a little bit more of a testing golf course than kind of what we have been used to. But yeah, I'm looking at the scorecards right now, pulling it up. The fifth hole, the par five, was 569 last year. It is 635 this year, tipped out. So
Yeah, I mean, so that I mean there were essentially, I believe, 6 holes on this golf course that were reachable and under regulation in past years. So that brings it back to 5. Still with 2 drivable 4s on the
yeah,
right
they
day.
added a new tee box on 14, that drivable par four, so they can stretch it to 362 now. So
I
Oh,
still expect it to
back to
be. I
four.
mean, to be honest, which kind of stinks because that's a really good drivable par 4 in my opinion. That's one of the
yeah.
best holes on that golf course. Not that every hole on that golf course isn't immaculate and um incredibly designed, but I'd like to talk about what Dan said in terms of this is the week of putting it together. Um, I'll be nice to Mr. Spieth. Um, I'll give him some room for error here. Um, I'm going to give him this week or Colonial. Um, it's got to be this week in contention or Colonial in contention because they're two so very different golf courses, and I don't really know his identity right now. I feel like this course hurts him in the way that you can't make half of the mistakes that I feel like he's already kind of down for right now with his game. I mean, you cannot. I mean, every green you miss, you essentially have to get the ball up and down. I mean, there's just really no room for bogeys anywhere on this golf course. Probably run around one around max, um, which does not fit the identity I think he has. But if he doesn't contend here, purely because the identity isn't fitting his game for the current state of where he is post injury, it has to be contention at Colonial at a harder golf course that he plays well in the past. It's so for me, it's got to be one of the two. So I'm kind of looking at this 5 week stretch as this and Colonial are one of them just has to be a big week. Now I'm looking at the PGA as really could be anything. I'm looking at the Truist as excitement. I think it looks like a really fun golf course that actually really could fit him, but he's never played it before, so I don't really know. But I'm excited for it. I'm excited to see him on that golf course. Um, and then I look at what's the fifth one? Memorial.
Memorial.
Yeah, which I also could be at, depending on certain things. That's one that I think that if he contends at Colonial could be the one that maybe he breaks through at. So,
Bob, that's spicy.
I mean, I'm saying this. He's 2 weeks out from a win at the very least. He's not going to win this week. He's not going to win the Truist. But if you see things over these next few weeks, I could be convinced to being confident in a wager of Jordan Spieth at Jack's Memorial. And that's kind of where I'm thinking right now. I'm thinking if this is a good week and he builds well, I like that. If it's not a good week, it's got to be a good week at Colonial. But if it is a good week at Colonial, I think the Colonial is really good prep for a big event because Jordan Spieth hasn't won a big event in 8+ years. So that's kind of where we are. I think that Memorial is something I've had marked on my calendar for a while. It's a course that he's going to win at by the end of his career. That's just kind of been my take for a long time. He's contended there in some poor spots in his life. I just think that's a course that fits him so perfectly. It's a scoring range that fits him really well. And I mean, contention at Colonial, win at Memorial just makes a lot of sense. So
I appreciate that. The optimism is maybe a bit
I
of a
call it
change
as
of
I see it,
pace.
Dan. I call it as I
Okay.
see it.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Um, I, you know, not trying to get too far ahead here because obviously there's a daunting test lying in front of us this week. But um, we talked a little bit about like where does his game fit right now, especially with kind of the inconsistency with the iron play. I actually think this is a decent track because there are still some long holes out here, right? There are gonna be some shots that require um some control from 200 plus. You have to drive it well around here. He's got a second and a ninth in a couple starts here, so it kind of feels like as a guy who is driving it well consistently, not great, but certainly, you know, among the good to great on tour, and who's been putting it well. Mr. Mills still in the bag doing his thing. This feels like a week where it's going to be a bit of a putting contest, and you got to be able to hit the fairway if the rough's going to be up to be able to get after some of the fives, kind of make some scores here. Because if you're in the fairway, you're not going to, well, I mean, given his iron play, you could, but uh, you're not going to make a whole lot of bogeys. You're not going to find yourself in a spot where it's a lot of uh, par putts over the length of 5 or 6 feet. But ultimately, it's going to come down to, I mean, and it does in theory every week, but I think in specific scenarios, certain courses require more excellence on the greens, and this is one of them. And we'll see. Maybe this is a course that his game kind of suits. And that gives me some optimism because this would be the greatest win of his career. So
I love that. Uh, yeah, more than anything this week, you got to make a ton of putts. And I look at his game right now, and if I need Jordan Spieth to make a lot of putts, I think 2025 Spieth's a pretty decent version. Yeah, I don't. I'm looking at my model that I made. He's a negative course fit, so there's that.
I
Uh,
mean, I agree with you on the putter. Um, the improvement that's needed from the last time we saw him to today with the wedges to compete here is drastic. I mean,
potentially,
you have wedges here that I mean, you probably have 10 wedges. 8 8 let's say 8 wedges. And 5 of them have to be within 10 feet unless you're making everything. And
well,
that's
I
everything.
think I think that's the counterpoint is that he'll just
that's a
make it.
problem.
I don't know. I don't think the wedge plays like that far
I
off.
think
I
it's
mean, we'll see. It's a week off. Who knows how much practice versus filming and you know being a father was done over the past week. But I I I'm excited. And I think it's a different test, right? This is a how many birdies can you make this week? And the previous three have been a little bit more survive in advance. I guess that, the heritage was how many birdies you can make, but sort of in like can you make 4 or 5 around? And here it's going to be, can you make 8 or 9?
I think with
And we'll
Spieth's
see if,
current identity,
yeah,
it might need to be 30 plus this week to
30
win.
birdies this week. I'm not sure he has that many bogeys in the bag.
I mean,
You say 30 birdies?
the winning score could easily be 23, 22.
Yeah, I think it plays tougher this year. I know I say that every
He could
year.
cost us a crap ton of money.
Yeah, it's a good point. I
This
do not
will
think, I don't think it gets to 20 this year. That's my take. And that's not even really looking at the weather because apparently it's going to rain all day tomorrow. Um, Let me check the wind.
Are you
Just
buying into the lengthening and the rough growth?
yeah, I mean, I always think every year this is a stern test out. Of course, the wind's not going to blow it all this week,
You're,
but
it should play tougher in theory. You
you
can't
would think if the rough's up, it's lengthened a little bit. I mean, look,
shot or two.
going from 560 to 623 on a par five is probably half a shot.
Yeah. If it's
Because
into
that
it'll
that
play over par. Maybe.
right, and that I mean, Zach Johnson's not getting there, especially if it's soft. Speed's not getting there. Like I think if it plays as soft as it seems like it's gonna play, then pretty much nobody's gonna get there. And then if you get the other thing is too, if it's really as wet as it says it's gonna be, could get some God, what do they do? They put the tee in the ground, pick it up, clean it. What do they call that?
Lift clean and place.
Yes, lift clean in place. You get some clean lies in the fairway, which added bonus for hitting the fairway. Speed's pretty accurate off the tee. Like I think
Is
it
there any
it sets
player
up decently well.
that lift clean in place benefits more than Jordan Spieth, given that a speck of dirt completely changes his outlook on the golf shot?
I mean maybe you could say Scotty's whole career has been pseudo lift clean in place, right? Like who knows when the cameras aren't watching and he just has Ted Scott go down and
What?
clean his golf
We
ball.
know Gene Sarazen would lift clean in place.
Right, Mr. Sarazen. Okay,
Dean
so
Sarazen would
Sarazen's
lift
one.
clean in place 90 yards closer to the hole.
That's the two club lengths back then. Mr. Sarazen carried an 80-yard wedge to be able to move it closer to the hole.
Yes.
I wonder how he would have played here. It would have been a great test for his game. Obviously,
He would have shot
notoriously
20 under at 7,500 yards in the 1930s somehow.
that 5 hybrid of his would have done wonders into these par fives.
Correct.
Um,
Sarazen wouldn't have had
anyway,
a problem with a 600-yard par five, that's for sure.
right. And then, I know obviously we only count the 4 majors as part of the slam, but um, I'm not sure Sarazen would have captured the fifth.
Fair point. Nothing to deny there.
Yeah. But interesting week. I think it's kind of a nice like handshake into what should be a fun stretch. Because after this, and I know I love Ranch. I really, really do. It's actually probably my favorite 5 week stretch on tour. Um, but the Truist is going to be sick, Jordan. If it's anything like the course we played on 2K, that's going to be awesome. Um, the PGA is going to be the PGA, and Colonial's always a good time, and Jack's Place. Like this is a fun stretch coming up. And hopefully we can get. I think I'd trade a little bit of inconsistency for more peak high level performance, if that makes sense. A couple times in serious contention versus just uh kind of consistently being around that T25 mark. But I mean we'll see. Bunch of different unique tests. Obviously Ranch offers uh especially compared to the rest of the four, a totally different test. But kind of glad that we're starting here, and we'll see how much kind of sharpening was done over the past week or so.
Well put. Um, yeah, I expect good stuff this week. I think you laid it out, Dan and Bob. Been some green boxes. Hasn't put it all together, but uh curious to see how everything looks this week. I'd like the approach play to continue growing. There were some very horrid shots at the Heritage, but some very good ones as well. And I think, Dan, you've kind of noted like closer than it probably seems. Just got to get rid of the bad ones and keep the good ones. And I don't know. I hope to learn something this week as Bob drifts off into the
Ejects,
night.
yeah.
Um, but
He
yeah,
has
that's all I
Sarah's in
got.
Overland to go deal with.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Probably a Wi-Fi problem. But we can get into triple double if you want. I don't really have anything else.
Um, yeah, I'm trying to rack my brain and see if I have any more thoughts. But no, I mean it's a good spot for some contention. Requires some things that he does well, putter, driver, a few long irons. Obviously, if you're looking at the specifics, kind of the under 150 will need to be sharper. Uh, and it'll just be about scoring and momentum, which hasn't really been fully capitalized on much this year. Um, but nonetheless, the excitement will be up for the second major of the year and a good chance to have another decent week, I guess.
Yeah,
So,
as Bob reappears.
What a collapse from just every technical difficulty possible.
Happens.
well, welcome back. We're just about to get into triple double.
Oh, yes, that's where I was headed as well, just right before my mic, camera, and computer all collapsed at the same time.
I'm not sure if I'm ready to roll with mine. If you guys need
I
a
can go.
second to, okay.
I basically have mine. I mean, it was just one of the great collapses for me last week, or to just have them written down in my notes and not get them. How much would I have won? Does anyone have the things pulled up?
Who'd you
I
play?
can pull him up.
Let me look. I had them.
I know you had Connors
Yeah.
for
Did not play
theoretical.
well.
No, we didn't actually.
You had Rye, didn't you?
I have them in my notes.
I don't know if Rye played particularly well.
I don't think he did.
And then Lowry, who also wasn't that great either. I think you'd probably be in the lead, but
Lowry, Rye, Connors.
Lowry would have made you 226K. Rye, 86K.
I mean,
That's kind of
Connor's
just
48K.
that's kind of the difference. I'm beating you by
It's
300.
a lesson for all you out there. Play by the rules. Don't try and cheat the rules and put them in late. That's what
If
Gene
you do,
Sarazen would have done.
if you do, you get bent.
Yes. But
So, but
So,
yeah, Jordan, go ahead with yours for this week.
yep. All right, we'll lead it off. I'm using him. I'm using the man of the hour, Mr. Spieth.
Oh
Not
my
joking.
goodness. Oh,
This is more an indictment on the field than anything.
wait,
Uh,
you're actually using them.
I'm using Spieth. Yeah,
Oh
I
my
I
don't.
mean,
God.
I'll go ahead and say I am as well.
Yeah, I don't know where else I'm going to use him. That's not part of why I'm using. He's seventh in the model. Um, I
This is stunning.
I really wanted to use Jacob Bridgman, but we're not going there because I can't because I've used him twice. So going Spieth. I am going. Who else was I going?
Wow. I love that Spieth has been played in
Yeah,
our
I'm going.
podcast this
All
year.
right, I'm going Matt McCarty
Mm.
out of left field there.
Been playing well though.
Yes, yeah, he's got three green boxes in his last four if you exclude the Zurich where he missed the cut, which I don't count. Um, Going him, and then the last one. Hmm, I did not really have a last one ready to go, but we'll go. Let me just make sure he's not hitting it off the planet because he tends to do that. Oh gosh. Um, all right, screw it. We'll go Sung Jae. I
Wow.
I don't think I've
I
used him twice.
I like that. I like Sung Jae.
I don't think I've used him once.
I mean, I'm going with a different South Korean because like the LPGA Tour, the South Koreans take over at this golf course, frankly. Um, and I'm going Ben On
Ah,
this week. Yes. Um,
He's
and
been playing.
I'm taking Spieth because
Bob, I got bad news. You've used Ben on twice.
there is no way. I don't even remember using him once.
He was used to start the year at the Century, and he was used at the Sony.
Chills. He's Mr. On in Hawaii.
No wonder you do not remember using Mr. On.
Gosh. Well, while I explain my Spieth pick, I'll look for a new one. But
That's a tough scene.
I mean, I hate to say it. I think Spieth makes 8 bogeys this week, and I don't think he makes 30 birdies. But I still think he makes enough where he's gonna get a fine paycheck with some average play. I don't think it's gonna be. I don't. I don't know if it can physically be poor enough from him given his recent. I mean, listen. Spieth's made some nice cash. Spieth has been a good triple double player in recent weeks. So I'm fine using him at a low stakes event where he likes to thrive. Um, so yeah,
What are you talking about? This second greatest tournament of
that's
the
true.
year.
That's true. The fifth major.
Pinnacle of sport.
Yes, yes. I mean he'll. I mean for him to get the golden slam, he'll need to win here eventually.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
here
Well
in
said.
Quail, and he completes it this year.
That's it's a big stretch here when you put it that way.
Yeah, the golden slam is in the cards.
I'm
But
surprised McElroy is not here actually.
I really wanted to use a South Korean, to be honest, like in some shape or form.
There's no KH Lee this week, which is disappointing. Two-time major champ.
Yeah.
I think he's hurt.
Yeah,
I hate
that
to
is
hear that.
disappointing. You really do. You know, one of the great champions.
He is a great champion.
Um, and just
I mean, he's
such
taken
life to
Speed to
this
Pound
event.
Town plenty of time.
Yeah. Well, yeah, he absolutely dusted him on the back nine in 21. Um, so for what it's worth, we'll miss him this week.
All right, we're replacing him with Nico Højgaard this week.
No,
Nico Højgaard. So those are my three:
Spieth,
Højgaard,
Odegaard.
Gerard.
Oh, Gerard.
Did I not say Gerard? I don't really have an explanation for him. I just think he's playing well
No,
to
he's
the event.
flushed the ball a few times.
Yeah. But I also don't think he'll be doing anything in 2 months. So
Right. That's well
might as well
said.
use him now.
I am going with Cam Davis. One of the comp courses for this golf course is Detroit. Cam Davis played well in Detroit.
Stomping grounds.
Yeah. Yes. We will not name the sponsor of said tournament in Detroit. But
The Detroit
yes.
Invitational.
Right. Yes, the Fowler Classic.
Yes.
So Cam Davis, big golfer. He'll hit the ball far. Need to do that around here. And why not? He could pop. Jake Knapp, same kind of thing. Playing decently, obviously was in contention in the Zurich with his buddy Kapan. And then Mackenzie Hughes, Mr. Sponsor Exemption himself, actually has played quite well recently. And just feels like a kind of guy that would make some putts here. He made a lot of putts here last year. He's been hitting the ball nicely. Put that together, and you've got somebody who's going to T4. So, nice paycheck leaving the ranch in a top 5 in a major is always a good thing. So,
No overlap besides Spieth this week.
that's chilling.
So Dan will be rooting against Spieth.
I really hope he plays well.
Let it be known that the Go Get That podcast is all over Spieth this week. And let me be very frank, 22-1 is a horrible bet this week.
I think Data Golf has him as like 37. He is second
Yes.
in their favorites model. He is second on Data Golf's model.
It's just, yeah. I
Scheffler
mean,
is the clear
22-1 is just not the number I'd ever bet Spieth at right now.
7th in mine. I gave him a downgrade.
Yeah, it is. I mean, like, just to kind of cap what we've been talking about a little bit, like, it's some decent stuff. It's really
It's a lot of decent stuff. It's the
it's
bad
really
stuff
not that
that stinks.
right. It's kind of
It's that there's
right
just too
now-
much bad. There's a lot of good there.
Yeah, he's sort of knocking on the door of contention, which is kind of not the greatest thing, but it's like
It makes me feel good though because having a lot of good and a lot of bad 4 months removed from his first start isn't the end of the world by any means. It's not like he's lost.
yeah. I don't even think the bad is that bad. I think it's
The
just
really
like,
bad's really bad.
yeah.
There are some swings in the bag that need to be removed immediately.
Yeah. I guess Hilton Head was a few weeks ago. I didn't seem that wild to me. There's a lot of pars at Hilton Head.
Yeah. I mean,
Some of the
I
short
go
game
back to
stuff
that
was
swing on
pathetic,
13. Just can never happen.
Yeah.
Off the tee. Like snap hook 3-iron on a 350-yard hole where all you have to do is put it in play. And then you make a
Right.
bogey when you're charging up the board. Just can't happen. But
Well, here's to a charge up the board this week.
here is to a charge of the board because, frankly, pars are going to be a tumble down the board this week. So it's got to be a charge. It's got to be a
Somebody-
charge.
You never know. Somebody turns on the fans
But
out there. And
Are
keep
we?
it going
I haven't
for
even
the
looked at the
winner.
tee times. Frankly, I've been smacked all day with
Late early.
late early. I don't like that.
Playing with
With-
Scheffler and Siwoo. They
Don't
put the
like that.
3 best players in one group. So
I don't like that. I really think that an early tee time to start would have been a really good chance to shoot 6, 7 under for him.
yes, it'll be chasing the 9 under that's posted by Rico Hoey,
Which
or
could
something
be
like
a
that.
pre-tournament elimination in itself.
Yes.
Just by seeing that number.
Well,
He's
and-
gonna be in the left woods off one and be like,
Right.
well, Mikey, we gotta make a birdie.
Yep. And the name R. Hoey next to it is
Yeah.
it
It's
does
discouraging.
not- right. It's one of the great competitors. One of the
If
great
you've been
champions.
watching long enough, you know that Rico Hoey is guaranteed to have a good week after that comment.
Well said. He's
But
been playing some decent stuff, actually.
You
So-
played him a few weeks ago.
I did.
It didn't
got
go
me a
well, I
tee.
don't think.
No, he missed the cut. But it was all based on him playing well at the Players when he was in the featured group on Saturday, maybe. So
Yeah.
We have
But
10 podcasts coming up.
we do. A lot of us.
yeah, I mean, it's gonna have to be. I fly Tuesday because obviously me and Jordan are headed to the Truist. We'll do a live update of how we think Mr. Spieth played Wednesday, but the recap will have to be Monday night, I think, because I take the red
Yeah, there's
eye.
no way. Yeah.
Tuesday is just not in the cards. But Monday, Wednesday next week is a fine schedule.
Yeah. We can go live Wednesday. Oh, we'll get to that when we cross that bridge. But yeah.
Yeah, but me and Jordan will be in a Holiday Inn hotel?
It's a nice hotel, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
We'll not be staying in hostels. We are high class
Yes.
citizens.
High class citizens. Yes. I believe they serve complimentary breakfast in the morning as
Yes.
well.
Look at the place
Chills.
that Dan and I stayed in. Pinehurst was nice.
Yeah.
Yes.
No,
Got a
it does
pool and
everything
everything.
you need it to do.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
But I think that's all the time I got. I got to go rip more finals. It is unfortunate that season, but all of my projects are due before Spieth's tea time on Thursday. So
nice.
all commitment this weekend will be to Spieth and packing. So
A late tea time for you on Thursday, Bob. What is that? 4:33?
what time
By
does
the
he have
way.
local?
2:33.
And it's noon. 'Cause we're 2 hours removed from them.
Or
They're
am I getting
central.
that wrong?
Yeah, it's the other way,
You
Jordan.
went the other way.
So
The
it's
only tea time that's late for me is Hawaii.
oh, I went the wrong.
It's gonna be noon for Blute. And it will still be what's the Friday morning tea time?
That'll be 5 a.m. for you.
It'll be yeah, exactly. Yep, thank you very much.
Long day,
Got me
folks.
all excited there.
Long day.
Oh, it will be a long day Friday. But regardless, thank you all for listening. Excited to we have some good content coming up. I mean, we have a few interviews that we're trying to make time for. We have a bunch of in-person appearances coming up between Oakmont and Truist, possibly Memorial. That's still so up in the air for me, but hopefully. But I mean, Travelers is not the question for me and Mr. Schlehuber to make the trek down to the signature event. So who knows? Could be a lot of golf coming up.
I'll throw in
And of
BMW
course-
if he qualifies.
Of course,
if he
if
qualifies.
he
Mr.
qualifies.
Spieth
He shows
does
up at the Detroit.
show up, make a late commitment for some late season FedEx Cup push in Detroit, we could see Dan Olson on the grounds again. So
Maybe.
should be good, but
Might have to boycott that tournament.
Yeah, because of the sponsor.
Dan, a proud rival.
Yes. Very.
But that's all we got. See you Monday or Sunday night.
Good.
Peace.